In a quiet village, 12-year-old Liam lived with his grandfather, Mr. Harold. Mr. Harold was not just a retired school teacher, but also a storyteller, whose tales were as vivid as the stars that lit up their small cottage every night. One evening, Liam sat under the large oak tree in their backyard, his face clouded with confusion. "Grandpa," Liam began hesitantly, "why don't I feel happy? Everyone around me seems to smile so easily. Am I doing something wrong?" Mr. Harold paused, leaning back in his old rocking chair. He smiled, a knowing twinkle in his eyes. "Ah, Liam, happiness isn't something you chase like a butterfly. It's something you discover when you stop running and start living. But I won't just tell you, I'll show you." The next morning, Grandpa woke Liam early. "Get ready, lad. We're visiting Mr. Johnson." "Mr. Johnson? The man with the big house and shiny car?" Liam asked, curious. "Exactly. Let's see what his happiness looks like," Grandpa replied with a knowing smile. When they arrived, Mr. Johnson's mansion stood tall, surrounded by manicured gardens and marble fountains. But the moment they stepped inside, they were greeted by the sound of shouting. "You call this clean?" Mr. Johnson barked at his housekeeper, pointing at a speck of dust on a vase. His face was red with anger and his hands trembled. Grandpa and Liam exchanged glances. When Mr. Johnson noticed them, he forced a smile. "Ah, Harold, welcome. What brings you here?" Grandpa chuckled. "Just thought I'd show my grandson how the wealthiest man in the village lives." As they left, Liam couldn't hold back his question. "Grandpa, if he has everything, why is he so angry over dust?" Grandpa nodded thoughtfully. "Because, Liam, no amount of wealth can buy peace of mind. Happiness doesn't live in big houses, it lives in calm hearts." Later that day, they stopped by Mr. Graham's small farm. The old farmer was sitting under a tree sharing freshly baked bread with his two grandchildren. His clothes were patched, and his home was modest, but his laughter was infectious. "Come, join us," Mr. Graham called out, waving. Liam hesitated. "But Grandpa, his house is so small," Grandpa whispered. "Sometimes the biggest hearts live in the smallest homes." As they ate, Liam asked, "Mr. Graham, aren't you ever worried about not having enough?" The farmer laughed. "Worried? Son, I have everything I need. Good food, family, and a roof over my head. What more could I want?" Walking back, Liam murmured, "He's happier than Mr. Johnson, even though he has less." Grandpa smiled. "That's the magic of gratitude, Liam. When you're thankful, you realize you already have enough." On their way home, dark clouds gathered and soon it began to pour. Liam groaned. "Oh no, now we're drenched." Grandpa, however, lifted his face to the rain, letting it soak him. "Isn't this wonderful?" he exclaimed. "Wonderful. We're wet, and my shoes are muddy," Liam protested. Grandpa laughed. "Rain is life's way of reminding us to slow down. Without it, there'd be no crops, no rivers, no life. Sometimes, Liam, happiness is in the little things, like the feel of raindrops on your face." Liam reluctantly stretched out his arms, feeling the cold drops on his skin. For a moment, he forgot his irritation and smiled. Back at home, they sat by the fireplace, wrapped in warm blankets. Grandpa handed Liam a steaming cup of cocoa. "So, Liam," he began, "what did you learn today?" Liam thought for a while, his brow furrowed. Then his face lit up. "I learned that happiness isn't in having everything. Mr. Johnson has money, but he's always angry. Mr. Graham has so little, but he's grateful. And even rain can make you smile if you let it." Grandpa's eyes sparkled with pride. "That's the secret, my boy. Happiness isn't something you find, it's something you feel when you stop searching and start appreciating the beauty around you." Liam smiled, his heart lighter than ever. For the first time, he realized he didn't need to chase happiness. It had been with him all along, in the simple moments he shared with his grandfather. Moral of the story: happiness is not about chasing perfection or acquiring more. It's about finding joy in the little moments, being grateful, and living fully in the present.